Money Hunt is made possible by Fast Company magazine. Fast Company, Handbook of the Business Revolution. And by Yahoo. Do you Yahoo? Yahoo. Money Hunt is also brought to you by MasterCard's Business Card, a small business resource for controlling costs. The word of the day is angel. Stay tuned for the answer to the word of the day from MasterCard.
Welcome to Money Hunt. I'm Miles Spencer. It's a proven fact that up-and-coming companies create most of America's new jobs. But growing companies need capital. If you're an entrepreneur, you'll learn how difficult it is to raise money, especially from professional investors. But what if you had the opportunity to hear the tough questions in advance, to watch other entrepreneurs sweat? What if you could learn from their mistakes? You'd master the game in no time. Cliff Ennico and I have been working with America's up-and-coming companies for 10 years. And though financing is only a means to an end for business, we think it's critical for you to know as much as possible about the process. We call it Money Hunt.
What you're about to see is pretty close to what happens when an entrepreneur goes out looking for money. Each of our entrepreneurial guests has only a precious few minutes to describe his or her business plan, while the Money Hunt panel interrupts, pokes holes in the plan, zooms in on problems, and otherwise challenges the guest's presentation. At the end of the show, we will give our brutally honest evaluation of each entrepreneur's pitch, and we'll try to decide if these folks are ready to go out and raise money in the real world. Which brings up a very important point. This is TV land. No money is actually being raised on this program, and nobody's offering company securities on the air. That can only be done with a legal prospectus registered with the SEC and other government agencies.
Our Money Hunt mentor for this show is Jay Jordan, managing partner of the Jordan Company. Jay owns businesses in almost every industry, including the food business. Welcome to Money Hunt, Jay.
Well, thank you.
I think we're ready to meet our first money hunter. His name is Robert Ehrlich, president of Roberts American Gourmet.
Welcome to Money Hunt, Robert. Come on in.
Roberts American Gourmet has a line of all-natural gourmet snack foods such as chips, dips, and salsa. Robert, welcome to the Money Hunt.
Cliff, Miles.
Tell us a little bit about how you got started in this business. Where'd you get the idea for gourmet all-natural snack foods?
Well, I started making salad dressings in my mother's kitchen, and then a few years later we made oat bran potato chips, and now we're one of the largest, the fastest growing healthy snack food companies in America.
Talk about healthy snack foods. I mean, when I think of snack food, I think of something that's sinful. You know, you're talking about something that's both sinful and good for me?
We make products that are low in fat, that have no preservatives or colorings or things like that. We now use ginseng and bee pollen and all sorts of herbs as well in our snacks.
Now, you mentioned low fat. Is that I see that as probably a trend that's not going to last forever. Are all of your products low fat? I thought I saw some of them from your product offering that were quite sinful in Cliff's words.
We go from zero fat to fun, as we call it, which about 9 grams of fat, but people are still buying Haagen-Dazs and Ben & Jerry's with no caution to the wind with there. Now,
you've been making these products for quite some time. Maybe it's a good chance to go to some film that you brought, and you can talk over that for a minute. There's some of your product there. Tell me about the packaging. Tell me about what
nude food is. There's our nude food. It's popcorn with nothing on it. We make oatmeal potato chips, Smart Puffs, oat bran pretzels. We make a whole line, about 70 items now, of really fun, funky snacks that we have a very large following. We're sold all across the country and now in a lot of foreign countries as well.
It's interesting that the product that you're making, you mentioned fun and funky, but I saw simple things like pretzels, etc. Are you making all of those 70 different products?
No, all our products are contracted out. This way we can take our resources and develop new products and basically do whatever we want. We're not.
You have a couple of new products that you brought on the show with you. Tell me about one that was my favorite from your box. Echinacea, if I got it right, shells.
Echinacea shells, yeah, it's for healing. We have a whole line. One is ginkgo biloba rings. Echinacea shells is, as I said, for healing and blood flow. We have a cat's claw crunch. And like I said, we're one of the fastest growing healthy snack food companies.
Now, Echinacea is a immunity builder, if I understand it correctly. Is this just a gimmick?
Actually,
or is there a significant amount of Echinacea such that it could be effective for somebody?
There's between 100 and 300 milligrams per serving, per ounce, and it actually turned out by mistake to be an excellent way of taking the herb, because your mouth absorbs it much quicker than it does a pill. So by accident, we turned out to be an amazing product, the whole line.
But you're not claiming health benefits for this. You're not in
No,
FDA land.
We're a snack and not a supplement.
Robert, I have a question for you. I know that we have 3 food companies. One of them is a 100-year-old candy company. The biggest problem that we have, even though we have a national brand, is getting shelf space in the supermarkets. Now, as a new company with very fine products, how do you intend to really kick out some of the existing brands and replace them with your new products?
Well, we go into other parts of the store, like we go into deli, where there's more shelf space. We've been going into produce. We've been avoiding the snack aisle because of the expense and everything, but there's new health food sections. A lot of these stores now want healthy food items in their stores, and that's where we've been. Going on the shelf there, as well as putting racks up and using our displays.
But Robert, a year or two ago, that was a niche. Today, it's expanding geometrically. I mean, in the last day or two, I've seen everything from Terra Chips, a competitor of yours, well-financed today, getting more and more shelf space and actually getting $4.95 retail. $4.95 retail for their product. You've also got Guiltless out there. You've got an awful lot of people that are piling into this niche. So even though you're avoiding the big snack food companies by doing some guerrilla marketing, I think that game is coming to an end. What differentiates yourself and your products from your competitors?
Well, we do over 17 trade shows a year, and really there's only 3 or 4 major players, like you had said. There's Guiltless and Terra and us, and that's basically about it. There's Barbers and Burritos. That's maybe 4 or 5, not like these other industries. So we're fast moving up in that, and these stores like Trader Joe's and Fresh Fields are really popping up, and the supermarkets now have to compete with that. So they're building aisles of health food sections, and we're getting in for free.
How large?
Robert, one of the biggest failings of small businesses has traditionally been being undercapitalized. And you are a young company, you have great products, but do you have the proper capital, and do you have a proper financial plan that will see you through the battles and the wars that you're going to have with your competitors and enable you to buy your way into some of the supermarkets
Well, right now, with the addition of our new CFO, who's been very instrumental in collecting funds for us and making sure our cash flow is good, we've had very good success with keeping the company going from within. And in the future, we're going to be looking to go to that next level and possibly do advertising and things like that. But right now, we're moving along very nicely.
Getting back to your marketing for just a second, Robert, I noticed a lot of your products are not just new products, but they're actually new product categories. I'd never heard of an Echinacea chip until today. How do you go about doing research on these things and figuring out what's going to be hot and what's not?
We just basically have a small test group that we do small batches in, and we try it out, and taste is number one. And if it tastes good, then we go from there, and basically then we hit the national shows, and the orders come flowing in.
Jay touched on your capitalization and also brought up a good point, which was management. You mentioned you hired a new CFO. You're obviously the product innovator. Who else is on your management team that can see you through for your next growth stage?
Well, along with him, we have a new national sales manager whose job is to get brokers in certain territories, and he manages them. And then we have a marketing director who oversees the whole plan of promotions and demos and things like that.
How about from an operations side?
Basically, we have in-house people who take care of the daily, invoicing and receivables and things like that. But all the inventory and everything else is done at the plants.
Correct, because you outsource.
That's correct.
Let's talk about how much money you need and what you're going to use it for.
Well, we're looking to raise $5 million to do more marketing, such as advertising in trade, as well as consumer publications, and then eventually radio and TV.
But $5 million versus the big boys is chump change. That's virtually nothing for your marketing budget.
Well, since day one, we invented downsizing before it was popular, and so we know how to make a dollar look like $10,000. That's what we do, and it's worked very effectively for us. And
correct. Guerrilla marketing's easy when you don't have money, because it's basically your only opportunity. Now, when you have it, you're going to have to spend it more efficiently and effectively, and that's where a great management team comes in. Next, a look at a company with some brew to go with these snacks.
Looking for a template to write a really good business plan? Only Money Hunter is proven to raise millions for entrepreneurs when they need it most. Download it now exclusively at www.moneyhunter.com.
Welcome back to Money Hunt. Before we continue, please keep in mind that nothing we say on this show should be construed as legal, tax, or accounting advice, and we are not recommending an investment in any of the companies you see here. The laws on raising capital vary from state to state, and you will need to contact a lawyer, accountant, or tax expert licensed to practice in your state for the advice you need to build your business. I think we're ready for our second Money Hunter. His name is Michael Morrissey, Vice President of Marketing and Sales for America U Brew.
Welcome to Money Hunt, Mike. Come on in.
America U Brew is a microbrewery that's looking to help folks brew their own private label beers. Michael, welcome to the Money Hunt. Tell us your story. How'd you get the idea for the business, and tell us a little bit about where you've been the last few years.
Around 2 years ago, our current production manager, Brennan Kelly, was a big home brewer. He would brew beer at home, make different labels on the beer, have a party, and essentially people would have a lot of fun with it. They thought it was great, and we said, how can we make this easier for people to make their own beer? So we came up with a personal microbrewery. It's a microbrewery that lets people come in and brew their own beer right there in our brewing kettles.
Now, you also produce beer for other folks as well, not just for personal home brew.
Absolutely. We have a three-tier strategy. What we do is we try to maximize the use of our equipment, and we can make single keg batches, 8 different at a time. One of the things we'll do is make our Gravity beer. Gravity Brewing Company makes beer for locals, bars, and restaurants.
Interesting. As a matter of fact, I think we have a, this is it right here, correct?
Yeah, that's Zero Gravity.
You came out, this is your own design. Now, this is sold not at retail?
Currently in Pennsylvania, you go through distributors, but you would say generally bars and restaurants, draft, and that's a 22-ounce bottle.
Now, it's a unique size bottle. Is this the only size that you make?
Currently, right now, we are actually getting ready to do production of a 12-ounce, 4 different beers in 12-ounce production, and that'll come out in mid-January of '97.
Okay.
Interesting product line. So if I go into any one of your microbreweries and I don't know the first thing about beer, I'm a total amateur, I just want to impress my friends at the holiday parties, I can do different kinds of beers, like a Pilsner, lager.
Absolutely. We have around 90 recipes, and we have brew coaches, essentially.
As a matter of fact, we have a video which we could roll in, and you could show us a little bit about the process itself. Just look at the monitor there. I guess there's, actually this is...
The first thing, you talk a little bit about the beer we make.
Right.
I mean, that's essentially our brewery. You'll see there, that's each one of those is a single keg batch of beer. And generally during the day, we'll make our Gravity beers. At night, that's when the customers will come in, and we'll use the equipment to make beer with for them, for their own personal use.
Now, it's interesting. I just had a question that came in from our website from Janine, who wanted to know what's the minimum number of bottles she can make. She was considering making them for Christmas gifts instead of Christmas cards, but she only wants to make 25. Do you have a minimum number of bottles?
Yeah, we do, actually. The smallest batch you can make is 5.5 cases, so it's a fair amount of beer. If you came in to make your own Christmas beer, for example, you would come in and make 5.5 cases of beer. You could put your own picture on the label. We do all the work with you right there. You're actually stirring the kettles. And then after you brew, you come back 2 weeks later to bottle it. It costs around $35 a case.
Interesting.
Michael, let's be real here. Home brewing it's really a fad, isn't it? I mean, it's really this year's pet rock. I mean, I got to believe that 99% of your customers are just going to be one-timers. They're just going to do this. Oh, what a great idea! Let's give them as holiday gifts, and next year we'll do grappa or Armagnac.
I actually have to disagree, Cliff. It's really we like to think it's a trend. Brewing in Philadelphia, for example, 100 years ago, there were over 100 breweries, and there were 100 breweries here for over 100 years. So it's really a trend back to what you saw happen in other industries. People appreciate quality. From the do-it-yourself standpoint, they're coming in to make better beer. And they might not do labels every time. They'll use the same bottles over and over again. But the bottom line is it's part entertainment, it's part value. In the long term, those people who brew can make the beer for around under $20 a case. And we're talking about handcrafted, highest quality beer.
Michael, I've got a question for you.
Sure.
How do you deal with the liability issue? You're in a particularly unique food end of the business that incorporates alcohol into your product.
Absolutely.
As a young company, the liability insurance must be horrendous.
Our first year, we had one brewery. We paid almost $10,000 in insurance. We developed essentially, I would say, I guess, a pattern that they wanted to look at. What exactly is going on? We're not a restaurant where people are just drinking beer. They're making it for their own personal consumption at home. When we opened our next 2 locations, our insurance only went from $9,000 to around $15,000. So you'll see with the track record, we proved that it was a pretty safe item for them.
Let's move on to our market and competition section. How many locations do you have today, and what market do you cover?
We opened our first brewery in January '95, and then we opened 2 additional breweries, all in the Philadelphia market. And today we have 3 locations, 1 in Philadelphia and 2 in the suburbs of Philadelphia. Currently, when you talk about competition, there's around 75 places similar to ours in the country. They use that same 8-kettle brewing system. Right. They make small keg batches. About 95% of them don't do any of the manufacture for resale, any of the gravity side of the business. Really, those are the people that they're actually targets for acquisition right now. We've saturated Philadelphia's market. Currently we'll have a new brewery open in Kansas City by March of this year. And then after that, we'd like to go out and, acquire other companies.
Jay, what's the beer market like in Kansas City?
Jay from Kansas City.
Great beer market, you can tell.
Yeah.
Michael, I had a question about this competition issue.
Sure.
Not only do you have, being in a fun business, a lot of people want to be in that business.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of competition within the microbrewery industry, but you have a huge competitor, and that are the big boys, the Anheuser-Busches and the Heinekens and the Coors. They're not going to let you take their market away from them. And I understand they're now getting in the microbrewery business.
Yeah, what you see all over the place right now is companies like Samuel Adams, who's the biggest, what they call themselves a microbrewery, but they're actually the 4th largest. There's an onslaught. I mean, they're getting direct ads against them by Anheuser-Busch. Quite frankly, our brewery makes around 3,000 barrels a year. Anheuser-Busch makes 90 million. And when we open a brewery in, say, Philadelphia, we're only going to sell about 30 to 50 kegs a week within around a 50-mile radius. And the brewery is profitable on that level. So our advantage is that we're local. Samuel Adams is not local anywhere because they have their beer made for them by other breweries.
In other words, they spill more beer than you drink, than you make.
Exactly.
That's it. Michael, are any of your facilities purely personal microbreweries, or are they all combined facilities where you're making the gravity?
We started out as just do-it-yourself, and we opened from day one with the concept of opening multiple locations. We realized that as a business strategy, just the do-it-yourself isn't going to cut it in the long term. But we do get significant repeat business, but not enough to make it a profitable company that you can roll out.
Let's get to the management and money section.
Okay.
Tell me about who else you have on your team.
Right now, it's our president of the company is Paul Conkle. Well, both Paul and I, and actually our production manager is, we're all from the University of Pennsylvania. Paul and I, this is our second venture. The first company we started with $50,000 in 1989, and we sold it for nearly $1 million in 1994, and that's when we got into America U-Brew.
Have you considered franchising for this concept?
Currently, right now, the Kansas City location is going out as a partnership. What we're really to talk about right now is our growth strategy is to raise around $5 million to go out and acquire those people who are just doing the do-it-yourself. And also, since 75 is really nothing, they estimate there'll be 2,000 by 2000. Markets like New York, D.C., Baltimore haven't even been tapped yet.
So your use of proceeds are essentially for funding an acquisition binge, but typically in the acquisition business, you need to bring a deal to the table before you can get an investor to commit to that. Raising a blind pool for an acquisition with an unproven company as an acquirer can be quite difficult. Is there anything else you're going to spend your money on?
Well, one is to open new breweries. I mean, there's nobody in D.C., there's nobody in New York.
There might be now after the show.
Yeah, let's hope not. But we've already talked to some other people in the industry. We're the largest player. If there's 75 out there, we have 3. One other company has 2. We're the only one that has an operating system that allows us to manage multiple locations.
back one more time to the management section because we blushed over it pretty quickly.
Sure.
Besides your president, who else is on your management team?
Brendan Kelly is our production manager. He's also currently responsible. We're small.
How about anybody with acquisition experience, if you're going to go on an acquisition bench?
Absolutely. The first person that we need to bring in is a person who has experience in that area. Since we've raised $1 million to date to get our 3 breweries open, we have partnerships, or not partnerships, we like to develop partnerships with local companies like Deloitte and Touche.
Great, thank you. Coming up next, our partners meeting, where we evaluate the ideas we've seen on this show.
Money Hunt wants to hear from you. Email us with ideas and comments on the show at loop@moneyhunter.com.
Welcome back to Money Hunt. Our entrepreneurs are gone, and it's time for our analysis section. Our first Money Hunter was Robert Ehrlich of Roberts American Gourmet. Jay, based on his presentation, does Robert get financing in the real world?
I think he will, Miles. I like Robert. I like his product. I like his packaging. I think the real question is this health food trend, which he plays into, is a fashion, or is it with us for forever? I think it's going to be with us for a while. If he can get the shelf space, he will succeed.
Cliff?
Yeah. I wasn't as troubled by that, Jay, only because he's not just doing healthy snacks, but he's also doing healthy but fun stuff too, and I think that market's going to be around a lot longer. Now, there's absolutely no question that Robert is an incredible marketing genius. He has built up national brand recognition in a very short time. He's created not only new products, but some entirely new product categories with what is essentially still basically a mom-and-pop business. I do think, though, there's always a risk in being an innovator here, because while his packaging and his look and his feel are all very proprietary, and I'm sure he does protect it, there's nothing really proprietary about his products. Anybody else with access to the same ingredients and equipment can make these things. So there is a risk that he could end up being, if he's not careful, that he could end up being a stalking horse for some of his larger competition who want to get into this business.
I think his barrier to entry on the products is the bizarre nature of some of them. I don't see Frito-Lay, charging into the Ginkgo snacks or cat claws category anytime soon. Brilliant product innovator, absolutely. In a great niche, and one that's very attractive right now. I think it sticks around for a while. But you look at management. He's added a financial officer, and that's important. But from an operations standpoint, I'm not so sure he's covered. Does that concern you, Jay?
Miles, it does, but all these small companies have that problem. They're not organizationally suited to handle all the problems of the business. The venture capitalists are used to this, and they're very helpful in setting up organizational structure. So I don't think Robert's business is any different than most small companies that are on the move. I'm not overly concerned with that.
Sounds like you're pretty positive, Cliff.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with Jay on that. The important point is he's reached a point in his growth curve at which he's got to go through a quantum leap in terms of his management team. I mean, right now, up to now, he's been able to operate as a mom-and-pop business in mom's kitchen. That's going to have to change. He's going to have to put a lot more management in place, a lot more systems in place, if he's going to develop that national market dominance that he needs to achieve quickly.
So you're giving Roberts thumbs up. I would as well, with the one caveat that he raises enough money to properly compete in this expanded level that he's going to. Entrepreneur number 2 is Michael Morrissey from American U Brew. Jay, based on his presentation, is he going to be successful raising money in the real world?
I think he can raise the money, yes. I'm a little bit concerned about the industry that he's in. These big boys, Anheuser-Busch and Coors and the Samuel Adams, they may not feel the pinch right now, but microbrewery is a growing industry, and when it is, these big guys aren't going to let these guys take their market share away. I like Michael, but the industry worries me a little.
Cliff?
Yeah, I would agree with Jay on that. Right, his biggest problem is that there's relatively low barriers to entry, although I have to give Michael a lot of credit. Most microbrewers, one of their biggest problems is excess capacity, and he's figured out a very creative and innovative way to use that excess capacity as a way of help promoting some of his other products. But I agree with Jay. I think he's going to have to grow extremely fast and develop a national franchise for his product to deter some of the big boys from coming in.
I saw the excess capacity and bringing in individuals for home brewing essentially as educating the customer, which I think is great, aside from the fact that he also educates the customer to appreciate other unique brews as well as his own. He also mentioned going into the acquisition mode and raising essentially his money to fund that. He doesn't have a background in acquisitions. Nobody on the management team does. You've made a potload of acquisitions. Does that concern you?
It does, but the venture capital arena, the venture capital community will put the brakes on Michael. They won't let him go too fast and too far. I think he'll get his money, and it'll be conditioned upon proper expertise in making these
Great
acquisitions.
point. Cliff, you thumbs up on Michael as well?
I would, yes, you bet.
So I got a thumbs up on Roberts and one on Michael. Sounds like we're a little easy on these guys. Let's get a reaction from them.
Thanks, guys. We'll always be innovators in products. We'll never be a Me Too company. And I want to say that the people that are in our operations are really great, and we will have enough capital, hopefully, in the future to be great.
From day one, our company's been here to grow and to manage the growth, and we have the right partners to do it. I appreciate the positive response, and we're going to make it happen in the years to come.
Further proof of the love affair that goes on between entrepreneurs and investors. You think this is easy, getting in front of investor types and talking about your business before a national TV audience? It's not. But growing a business has never been easy. However, the potential payoff can make it well worth your while. If you've got a good idea, can learn some of the secrets, and keep a fire in the belly, you've got what it takes to make it on Money Hunt.
Learn how to succeed at Money Hunt. For a transcript or video cassette of this Money Hunt show, call 1-800-925-0745. Money Hunt is made possible by Fast Company magazine. Fast Company, Handbook of the Business Revolution. And by Yahoo. Do you Yahoo? Yahoo. Money Hunt is also brought to you by MasterCard's Business Card. Angel, private investor with industry experience. This word of the day brought to you by MasterCard.